something like a little blow to our economic ego. South Africa's aspiration to remain an economic powerhouse in Africa are receiving a setback. It's emerged that we are no longer the second biggest economy on the continent, but the third as of last year. KPMG says that according to data from the International Monetary Fund, Egypt has overtaken South Africa as the second largest economy. The IMF does not actually rank countries based on GDP or the overall value of goods and services produced and sold, but KPMG has done the comparison using IMF data. Well, a couple of years ago, South Africa lost the top spot to Nigeria after it reevaluated its GDP calculations. Now the weakening of the rand has played a role in our second demotion. KPMG said that South Africa's average value of the rand depreciated by a whopping 50% between 2012 and 2015, while Egypt's currency rose over the same period. That means that when translated into dollars, Egypt's economy is larger. The Central Bank of Egypt exerts greater control over its currency than South Africa does. KPMG says if it were not for the rand slump, South Africa would not have surrendered its second place last year. On its blog, the auditing firm says that South Africa's fall from first and now second place among the continent's giants is of concern, especially because of the weakness in the rand and the fact that it's largely been a result of domestic issues. Well, to discuss, we're now joined by a senior economist, Lullu Krugel from KPMG. She joins us on the line very quickly. Lulu, this is incredible that the IMF report that this is based on came out in April. We've only heard the news today. Was it a matter of someone actually going and doing crunching the numbers?
Yeah, good evening. Yes, I mean, for us doing business in the rest of Africa and KPMG having such a big focus on Africa, we keep up with the trends. And when we start digging into the numbers, we realize that it maybe didn't achieve or get the attention that it should have, and that we've actually slipped, as you say, to the third position. Yes, it is due to currency fluctuations, but the bottom line is even if the rand appreciates dramatically over the next couple of years, it will take some time for us to catch up with Egypt, and we've lost the second spot now, yes.
Let's look at the last statement on the blog. The rand has certainly been affected by local events, but aren't we, to a greater extent, a victim of global circumstance? And Egypt does have an advantage here because it keeps a tight control over its currency.
Yeah. So the currency has had an important impact, but we should also not forget that the South African economy did not grow anywhere near the levels that we would have liked to see. Yes, I agree with you, there are certain currency controls in place in Egypt, and yes, there are domestic and foreign factors that impact the rand, but there's definitely a fair share of this blow that we've actually gone and given ourselves at the end of the day. A lot of the instability in the rand and a lot of the uncertainty is unfortunately due to some domestic developments. We've seen the results coming out from the different sovereign rating agencies. We got a pass by Moody's, which we are very thankful for. But the bottom line is everybody's looking at South Africa and asking the question, where's growth coming from? And if we compare to what's happening north of us, our neighbors north of us, things are speeding up, and we're just not speeding up at the same rate.
And you did allude to the fact that it will be very difficult for us to retake second place. In layman's terms, how far apart are we now from Nigeria at the top and Egypt now in second place?
Yeah. So the Nigerian difference is quite dramatic. And again, one can say that the difference might have been attributed to changes in the way that Nigeria calculates the GDP. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that Nigeria, the economy is quite a bit larger than South Africa. So that difference is in the region of 40%, and with Egypt is around 20%. So it's quite significant. It's not something that we will make up very easily.
Lulu, finally, we're still the most developed, the most industrialized. It's often said you can look at GDP per person rather than as a country as a whole. Can we take heart from any other metrics in South Africa, or is this really just another wake-up call?
I definitely think that, GDP numbers in its own, and most economists would agree, is not the be-all and end-all. It's definitely an indicator of what's happening with output in an economy. But yes, in terms of GDP per capita, we still look better. We've improved a few positions in the global competitiveness rankings last year, which was really good news. There's a lot that we have going for us. And at the end of the day, one has to look at the sophistication of the markets, the infrastructure that we have available. Investors look at all of these things. However, it's still important to note that we want an economy that is growing at the rate of 5+%, and at the moment we're just plodding along at around 0.5%. So that's way off where we need to be to really improve the position of the majority of South Africans.
All right, thank you very much. Lullu Krugel on the line from KPMG. Now let's stay with that.